speaking of success stories,
here we go.
It is
the
Flyers president of hockey operations.
There he is.
The president is here.
One and
man of
only
the
Keith
hour.
Jones. The president has made it. He shook hands with everyone in the building on the way up.
Not everybody. I'm still working on it. How you guys
Slowly but
doing?
surely.
Very well. How
Good.
are you this morning, Jones?
Doing great. Nice to see everybody.
Thanks so much for taking some time to come on
Yeah.
the PHLY Flyers show.
We appreciate you guys being here and being around this year, too. It's been nice. Any outlet we can have that's talking Flyers hockey, we're happy about it, and appreciate all the hard work you guys are putting in.
Oh, we certainly appreciate the hard work you guys are putting in as well on
You're
the
making
team.
it a lot easier for us, by the way.
Well, it's bumpy right now, but we're trying. There's no doubt. Last night was a little bit more of the way that I think our guys have battled for much of the year. Good to see the fight back in there, some energy back, and hopefully that builds, during this really important week.
So we just a few minutes ago talked to Dan Hilferty. He was here. Obviously, I ran into Dan a couple times on the road trip down in Florida, which overlapped with the trade deadline.
Yep.
And one thing that Dan had mentioned to me on that trip, and we got a little bit more information from him on the trip about, was just the aspect of the trade deadline, everyone being in a room, everyone in the organization talking about the decisions that were made. Obviously, the big decision was the trade of Sean Walker. You guys also picked up Eric Johnson as well, made that player-for-player swap with Wade Allison and Dennis Gurianov. But what I'm curious, Jonesy, is how difficult was it to make the decision to trade Sean Walker, which was very much a future-focused move, even with the team in a playoff spot and battling to make the first playoff run since 2019-2020.
Yeah, it was a balancing act. There's no question. There's a lot of thought that went into it. We probably would have traded Sean earlier if we weren't in the position that we were. There was opportunities to do that. He was such an important part for our club. He did an outstanding job. He's a very good player. I think he scored twice last night for Colorado. And we had lots of discussions with a lot of different teams about him. So it was hard. There's no question that he was a big part of our locker room and our on-ice product. So in recognizing that Sealer was hurt at the time, we knew we were, missing, really 2/3 of our defensive core, that we're going to have some rocky moments right now. And we're asking our young goaltenders an awful lot to, try to steal some games against some high-quality opponents with a diminished blue line. So, yeah, there was a lot of thought that was put into it. But ultimately, the decision was easy because this year is about building and we're about the future. And, it's a complex situation to try to pull this thing off, but I think we've got some really good hockey people involved, and we're using everything that we have at our disposal. We're lucky. We're lucky that we can, rely on a lot of different people to come up with some really good decisions.
Yeah.
There's about a month left in the season, Jonesy. You've gone through the troubles. You've mentioned the blue line injuries, everything that's happened with the team in the last few weeks, the schedule you're in. But you're still holding a playoff spot. You've seen some young players grow this year. You added the first-round pick. You're playing meaningful games. A month from now, what will determine what made this year successful? Is it already? What is success for the team this season?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it is already. I do think there's been some bright spots. I think our younger players' development has been really sound, and I think that's something that we really wanted and we really appreciate from them. Last night was a great example. Farabee scoring 2 goals and 21 on the season. That's a very impressive year for him after the injury issue that he dealt with last season. Forrester continues to develop. Tippett with 3 assists last night. Frost with a really strong game and an incredible goal last night. Zamula continues to impress on the back end, and York has been a standout all season long. He has been an extremely impressive player for us and a big part of our future as well. So those are the type of things that excite me. We know we still have to continue to find pieces to fit this puzzle together, but there's some bright spots. And from that standpoint, it's very encouraging. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited with what we've accomplished so far, which is nothing, and excited to see what happens here with some really challenging opponents. I'm a big believer in the spirit of our team, and I think our guys are going to rally around one another and find a way to win some important games here down the stretch.
How important do you think it is for the long-term development of the team, where you guys want to get to, of the fact that you guys are now playing in, a couple of guys, Tortorella has said this, you're playing in meaningful games right now. Like, in your mind, do you learn things about the individual players that you wouldn't necessarily learn in November or December in these kinds of games?
Yeah, you can see some things. There's no question. I don't think you want to overanalyze it in some regard, just with some younger players, because everyone's got a little bit of a different developmental path. But you're analyzing it for sure, and you're looking at it, and you're trying to, figure out exactly where that player projects to be when you're going to be a very good team. And there's a lot of guys that are showing signs that they're going to be a big part of this in the future. So you are analyzing it closely. These games are really cool in that regard. They're nerve-wracking at the same time. And on paper, sometimes we don't match up the same way against the opponent right now. But in the future, I think that we will. And it also gives us the opportunity to weigh our, future stars against some of the superstars in the league today. And those guys have held their own this year, but we have a ways to go, and we need to add some talent into the mix to make sure that we get there.
Jonesy, it's the 45th Flyers Charities Carnival. You've been around this organization for years. What does this day mean, like on the schedule for everyone involved?
So the way I look at it was the first time I came here, I played in two previous NHL cities, Washington and Colorado, and then we had charitable events that were fun, a dinner or, a bunch of people paid to come and visit with the players and such in Washington. And Colorado was another huge dinner that was held within the arena, and it raised a lot of money. It was great. And then I came here and I kind of wondered, what's this thing all about? And I showed up here and I was like, wow, this is like incredible. These fans, like a lot of the fans that you never get to interact with, and for them, they never get the opportunity to actually say hello and, give you their regards. It was great, and it's just continued to be that, which is even more impressive, especially getting through the pandemic and now having all these fans back in here today really makes you feel great. And as a player, it's perspective. It's, recognizing that there's a whole other world out there, and we have to continue to give back. I think you have to be mindful of that, and it gives you a chance to just think about some things that are more important than the game, but at the same time realize how important the game is to the fans that are coming out to watch you play. So I think it's a great thing. I'm happy that we raised a lot of money, and I'm really impressed that it's continued for as long as it has.
There's been a lot this year, rightfully, spoken about, the strength of the team culture, the locker room, how tight the group is, and how important that is to the success of the team this season. Speaking to the Carnival, you just mentioned about, guys keeping things in perspective and giving back. It's obviously important for the team to like each other, to be tight, to have accountability, but how important is it, not just now, but in the future, for you guys to go out and get players and keep players who buy into the importance of events like this and in the importance of interacting and engaging with fans?
I think it says a lot about the character of the player, how they react to coming to something like this, and how they show how much it means to them. I do think it's something to watch. I do think the players and how they interact within our community is really important. Is it everything? Probably not. But it's something that should be considered when you're adding players to the mix. Like Garnet Hathaway is a great example. We knew all the things he did before in Washington and followed him closely. I had a lot of friends in Washington that knew him well, and in Boston, where he made a great impression in a short period of time. Those are the type of people that really hold a team together, hold a team accountable, and hold themselves accountable. And those type of qualities are what you want in your players. It's not in every player. But it can come out in other players when they're surrounded by players that have it. So I think that's a really important ingredient, and we'll continue to look to add players like that, but at the same time mix in some highly talented players that may need a supporting cast to bring everything out of them in the future.
It's great that you were able to join us today, Keith. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Good to see you guys,
Always fun
too.
talking to you.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm glad you guys are here. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
We all silly like the mayor.